individual presentation of the lesson plan. Okay. All right. So, any question before we begin? Is it all clear to you?
Yes, teacher. So on the presentation day, we just prepare and present. We don't have to turning anything to you, right?
No, no turning in anything. Okay. The turning in will be 3 weeks after Sunday.
Yeah, September the 13th, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
teacher.
Any other questions? All right. Very good. So let's begin our topic today. Okay. So today we have the last of the teachers workshop, okay? And the topic of the teachers workshop today will be about feedback, testing, and evaluation, okay? So yesterday and the day before, we had the previous two workshops, right? And we talked about how to teach language construction, right? How to teach grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and then how to teach skills, language skills, how to teach reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Okay. Today we go on to the last part of it, and I think one of the important part of your portfolio, which is about feedback and testing and evaluation. Okay. So, what is feedback? What is testing? And what is evaluation? Okay, we'll get to discuss and to get to know what they are. Okay, so first of all, let's look at feedback. Okay, I have 4 questions on the board. Number one, what is feedback? Okay, number two, when do you give feedback to your students? Number three, what do you give feedback to students for? And number four, how do you give feedback to students? Okay, so 4 questions about feedback. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to discuss this in your group. And after 5 minutes, we'll come back and then you will give me your answers. Okay, all right, 5 minutes go. Okay, let's answer the questions together. Number one, what is feedback?
Hello, teacher. I from Group L.
Okay.
What is feedback? Feedback is information given to students about their performance to help them understand what they did well and what they can improve.
So information given to students to tell them what they did well or what they can
Yeah,
improve.
yeah.
Okay, very good. All right,
Thank you.
so let's look at the word feedback here, right? And what does it tell you, feedback, right? If you break it down, you have feed and back, right? Now, back, what does it mean? Back, back means return, okay? I go back, okay, meaning I'm returning, right? I'm going back means I'm returning. What about feed? Okay, what does it mean, feed?
Give something,
To
give something for the
to
student.
give something. Okay, very good. You have feed. It means to give something to somebody, right? Okay, the original meaning is to give food to somebody. Okay, to feed somebody meaning to give them food, right? But then the broader meaning is to give somebody something, right? So feedback meaning to give somebody something back. Okay, to give something back to somebody. So your student give you something and you give them something back. Okay, that is called feedback. And in this sense, the student give you something. Okay, they perform something, they do something, right? They learn they learn a language. Okay, they speak to you, they write to you, they turn in their homework, and then you give them something back. Okay, you tell them what you think about what they do, right? You tell them what you think about their homework. That is feedback. Okay, very good. So that is feedback. So information given by the teacher to the students about their work, okay, about what they do. Now, number two, when do you give feedback to your students? When?
I will answer, teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, yes, we have many way to give feedback for the student.
Mm-hmm.
First, immediately. It means if they do something wrong or mistake, we will correct them immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And a second way is after the task. It means let them to finish first, and we will correct them.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
during class, it means before the final submission,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Yes,
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you say you give feedback to the students during lab class, right? During learning, during the process of teaching and learning, or you can
yes,
give it to them immediately, okay, after they have finished the activity, or you can wait some time after they have finished, okay, to give them feedback. All right. So generally, you give feedback to your students when they give you something, okay, when they answer your question, when they turn in the homework, okay, when they finish a project, okay, when they are performing a conversation with their friends and so on, right? So when the student give you something, you give them feedback, okay, because feedback is about what you think about what they do, right? So when you receive information from the student, you give information back. Nice feedback. Good. Number three, what do you give feedback to the students for?
Good evening, teacher.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, I give feedback to students to help support and encourage students
Mm-hmm.
by showing them what they have done well. I also give feedback to students to help them correct their
Mm-hmm.
errors
Mm-hmm.
during class. And finally, I think feedback can help students become more independent learners
Okay.
because they can recognize their own strengths or weaknesses. and improve in the future.
Very good. Okay, thank you. All right, so those are the reasons why you give feedback to your students, right? By telling them what you think about what they do, you encourage them, okay, you support them, you help them, okay, correct their mistakes, you help them do better next time, improve, okay, and then you encourage them to be independent, right? So by giving feedback, they will build their autonomy and their independence, okay, and then we will perform better with or without your help in the future. Very good. And we come to the last question. How do you give feedback to your students? How do we do this? Anyone else? Group?
Hello, teacher. I'm from Group C.
Okay, Group C.
I think they have a lot of way to give a feedback to student, but to me, for personal, I I like to give them some funny sticker or some funny comment on the assignment to to get the to get the erase the gap between the teacher and student, and it make them feel relaxed or feel comfortable for the whole learning process.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
that's only
All
my
right.
opinion.
Okay, thank you. Yes, you can give, you can give verbal feedback. Okay, you can write on the paper. Okay, a written feedback, right? So it can be written, or it can be, like non-verbal, right? So you can give them a sticker, you can smile at them, you can nod, okay? All kinds of non-verbal. You don't have to use language to give them feedback. Very good. Any other way that you can give feedback to your students? For example, what kind of feedback have I given you from the beginning of class today? What kind of feedback? What did I say?
This is oral feedback.
Yes, okay, oral feedback or spoken feedback, okay? So you can give me your answer and then I say, yes, very good, I agree, I don't agree, furthermore, and so on, right? And then you can use your body language to do that too, right? Sometimes I don't say anything, I just nod, okay? It means I'm agreeing with you, right? And then when you are giving your answer, I make sounds like okay. So that's also a kind of feedback, okay, kind of like encouraging you to elaborate, okay, to speak more, to go ahead. So you have all kinds of feedback. You have written feedback, you have spoken feedback, okay. You can write on the paper, okay. You can post a comment online. You can give them, a thumbs up. You can raise your finger, okay, when like there's an important point that they make and so on, right? So non-verbal feedback and verbal feedback, all kinds of things, right? So we know the things about feedback, right? So what should we keep in mind when we give feedback to our students, right? Number one, your feedback has to be supportive, right? So when you give feedback to your student, the primary goal, the main aim of your feedback should be to support the student to improve, to do better. Okay? If you're giving feedback in a way that doesn't support them but kind of like suppress them, that is not effective feedback, right? So, for example, after you give your presentation, I say, "Oh no, your presentation is very bad, okay, not good at all, and there's nothing good about your presentation." If I say something like that, right, then the feedback is very negative, right? It doesn't encourage you to continue, right? If you hear that kind of thing, you will lose any interest, or you will lose any encouragement to go further. Okay, so we just say, oh, he doesn't like it. This is too bad. We cannot succeed in the course. We just give up. Okay, we don't go to class anymore. So your feedback, first of all, has to be supportive, right? Even if like you can see things that they need to work on to improve, you give them encouragement. Okay, usually something like thank you for doing this. Okay, this is very good. Okay, but if you want to improve it, there are these things that you may need to consider, right? So if you say something like that, it gives the student a feeling that they are supported and encouraged. Number two, the feedback has to be work specific. Okay, so the feedback has to be about the work that the student do, right? So for example, after you have spoken to me, I say, oh, that is very good, but you need to work on your pronunciation a little bit, okay? You should, the sound p, when it comes at the beginning, it should be stronger. For example, you say pen, right? You don't say pen, right? So you have to, it has to be about the work that the student do. It has to be about pronunciation, about grammar, about, like their writing, about their speaking. You don't give comments about the student. Okay, so it has to be about the work that they do. It has to be truthful. Okay, your feedback has to tell the truth, right? Not because that I like some of you that I give like easy feedback to some of you, and it's not because that I don't like some of you that I give harsher feedback for some of you. It has to tell the truth, right? If I think it is good, I I will tell you that it is very good. Okay, if I think that you need to improve, you need improvement, I will tell you that you need to work on this, and on this, right? So it has to be about the work that you do, and it has to be truthful, and it has to encourage thinking. This is very important. Okay, not a lot of teachers are aware of this, right? So sometimes they give feedback, they just go straight to the point. Okay, but if you take a step back and you invite the student to think about their work with you, then your feedback can be very effective. Okay, so for example, you turn in your essay to me, and I say, "Oh, this is very good, but what do you think about this part?" Okay, if in this part we use a different voice, for example, what do you think, right? So in that case, you do not provide a solution, you do not provide the answer to your students, but they will have to think about the solution and about the answer with you. Okay, so that is an important part of giving feedback. Your feedback is effective if it can encourage the student to think with you about how to improve. Okay. Second part about it is mistakes and errors. Okay, mistakes and errors. And then I have two questions for you here, right? Question number one: what is mistakes and what is errors? Okay, what is a mistake and what is an error, and how are they different? Right? That's question number one. Question number two: we have two kind of mistakes and errors. We have first language interference, okay, and we have developmental errors. So question number two: what is first language interference, and what is developmental errors? Okay, and give me some example of mistakes or and errors that come from the first language or that come because of developmental errors. Okay, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to discuss this in your group. Okay, and then after 5 minutes, I'm gonna ask you for answers. All right, 5 minutes go. Okay? Let's answer the questions together. Number 1, what is a mistake and what is an error? And what's the difference between mistakes and errors? Does anyone know?
Sure.
Group A, yes.
I think it an action idea judgment that's informed incorrect or leads to an unwanted results. It happened because a lack of care, poor reasoning, or misunderstanding.
What about errors?
And no, no, I think that is a mistake an inaccuracy or the departure from what is true, correct or correct. It happens when an action, judgment, or system fail to reach its intended goal or standard.
And what's the difference between mistakes and errors?
Yeah. I think what mistake the definition of wrong actions, choice, or sleep, results from carelessness or bad judgment.
Can you explain in easier language for everybody to understand? Or can you give an example to distinguish between mistakes and error?
Yeah. Um, um,
So for example, what is mistake and what is an error?
example mistake resting the wrong button on your keyboard or by accident.
Okay.
And error definition deviation from accuracy correctness.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Group A. Can anyone give an example that is not from AI?
I will try, teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Example of the mistake. First, of example. Usually, we will study about the grammar. I have or I has. It means if we are um, accidentally we saying I has. For every student, they just know I have. But when they know the rule, I, we, they, we use have, and he, she, it. So we use has. And sometimes if we don't, it means always wrong when we writing and speaking a lot. And sometimes we did not know yet about the master about English language. So it's easy to use wrong grammar.
Okay, so wrong grammar. In that case, is it a mistake or is it an error?
That mistake.
Okay, what about an error?
The error example, when we study about the anticiple, an example, an apple or a banana. So sometimes we use wrong the anticiple. So I think that the error.
Okay.
Another example is I am a student. Sometimes we forget to put a. So because we don't remember the rule, the grammar, so we put lack of a. Sometimes we just do I am student and lack of I am a student.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Thu. So what is a mistake and what is an error? Okay. So for example, if you tell me you say to me she. Okay. Okay, sorry about this. Okay. If you tell me she write to him. Okay. If you tell me she write to him, and I ask you again, she write to him. Okay. And if you say, oh no, sorry, she writes to him. Okay. This is a mistake. Okay. A mistake is something you make, but you know that it is wrong. Okay. Sometimes because you are tired, sometimes because you forgot, sometimes because you speak too fast. Okay. You make the mistake. Okay. But if I point it out to you, you realize. Okay. And you tell me, sorry. Okay. It is wrong. It should be she writes to him. So in this case, you know how to correct the mistake. It is a mistake. Okay. But if you say she write to him, right? If you say she write to him, and I ask you, she write to him, okay? And you say yes, she write to him, okay? This is an error, okay? An error is a mistake that you make, but you don't know, okay? You don't know. You don't know that it is wrong. It is an error. Okay. So again, if you know it is wrong, it is a mistake. Okay. If I point it out to you, you can recognize it and you can correct it, right? If you don't know that it is wrong, you think this is correct, then this is an error. Okay. So that's the difference between mistakes and errors, right? Is it clear? Is it understood?
Yes.
Okay. All right, number 2. Okay, we have two kinds of mistakes and errors. Number 1, we have mistakes or errors that come from the first language. Okay, first language interference. So what is first language interference? And can anyone give me one example? Can anyone give me one example of first language interference? Okay. Anyone? All right, L1 interference mistakes or errors is the mistakes or errors that you make, okay, when your first language interfere with how you learn your second language, right? So for example, Tu Hương just gave me one example before, right? So when you say I am student, okay? When you say I am student, that is an example of first language interference because you're translating directly from Vietnamese into English, right? In Vietnamese, we say I am student, okay? And it is correct, right? Tôi là sinh viên, okay? It is correct. But in English, when you introduce your job, okay, your career, you need to add an article before, right? So you don't say I am student, you say I am a student, right? So if you say I am student without an a, then it is a mistake, or depending on the situation, right? It can be a mistake or an error, but it is like an error caused by the first interference, right? Because in Vietnamese we don't use article before now, okay? Or like if you say I go to school, okay, yesterday. This can also be, like an L1 interference mistake, okay, because, in Vietnamese, when you say yesterday and today, you use the same verb, right? You say, hôm nay tôi đi học, right? Today I go to school, right? And then you say, yeah, hôm qua tôi đi học, right? Yesterday I go to school, right? So it's the same verb. You don't change, right? But in English, you use one verb for for today, okay? But then you use a different verb for yesterday, okay? A different form of the verb for yesterday. So if you say something like I go to school yesterday, it can also be an L1 interference mistake, okay? What about developmental errors? Can anyone explain it? Or give me some examples like this. Can anyone try? So what are developmental errors? Okay, developmental errors are errors that happen because, okay, because of your learning, okay, because you are learning something and you apply it, okay, but you apply it wrongly, right? So for example, you know that in English, when you add ed, you know that in English, when you add ed to the verb, okay, it becomes the past, right? So for example, you say, I listen to music, okay, today, and yesterday I listened to music, okay? You add ed, it becomes the past, right? So, okay, you go on and say, today I go to school, yesterday I go to school, okay? If you say this, right, and then go is wrong, okay, it is a developmental errors, right? Because you are learning a rule in English and then you apply into this situation, but in this situation, the rule is wrong, okay? So if you learn something and then you apply it wrongly, okay, it is what we call developmental errors, okay? Because go is a special verb. It doesn't, you know, just go with ed, like listen, okay? You have to change it into something else, right? So if you don't learn, if you don't know about irregular verbs, and then you add ed to this, for example, then you make a mistake, okay? You make an error like this, okay? And it's called developmental errors, right? So those are the two kinds of errors that we make, okay? It can come from your first language, or it can be a process, it can be a product of your own learning, okay? So if you know what kind of errors your students are making, it would be easier for you to have them corrected, okay? If they are saying something and you know that it's because of their first language, you can explain to them, okay? In this case, don't follow your first language, follow the second language, okay? If you know that they are applying something and apply it wrongly, okay, you need to point out the rule that they are using is wrong and they should apply a different rule, okay? So that's why we need to identify between the different kinds of mistakes and errors, okay? And when your student make mistakes and errors, you correct them, okay? There are two kinds of correction. You have on-the-spot correction and after the event correction, okay? So you can correct the student immediately when they make a mistake, okay? Or you can wait until the student finish the activity and then you go back and then correct the mistake for them. Why? Why? Or when do we use on-the-spot correction and when do we use after the event correction? Group F.
Hello, teacher.
Mhm.
Can you please repeat the questions, please?
When do we use on-the-spot correction and when do we use after the event correction?
With on the spot correction, I think we can use it when students are practicing in class. Example, when we speaking lesson, when students say he go to school every day, uh, at this time we can use on the spot correction to help students realize their mistake. Um, we correct students mistake. He go is wrong, instead of we say he goes to school every day. I think in a speaking activity we should use on the spot correction to help student can correct their mistake immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
What about after the event correction?
After the event correction, mm, in my opinion, I think it is useful for um, uh, we use after event correction when we don't want our correction can interrupt our communication with student in the class. We
so you
can
want the communication to continue?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Example in writing activity, we can
Mm-hmm.
use after the event correction. After we receive a student production, we can go back home and break carefully. Then we correct a student mistakes. Then on the next day, we can give the student and they can read and realize their mistakes.
Okay, so you're saying on the spot correction is used for speaking, and then after the event correction is used for writing.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, all right, thank you. Does anyone have a different idea?
I will share.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, correction on the spot, usually when the student learning something new about grammar, about pronunciation, it mean or practicing the vocabulary pronunciation. So we need to correct like immediately, so on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So after the event, it means something is maybe when they have games, they have discussion, they have a class debate. So maybe after that, at the time we be correct. So that
Okay.
is after the event.
Mm-hmm. So on the spot correction when they're learning new things, and then after
Yes.
the event when
Yes.
they have when they are producing the language.
That's all.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Does anyone have a different opinion? Okay. All right. So you have two kinds of correction here. You have on the spot correction and you have after the event correction. Okay. Yes, normally on on the spot correction you can use with spoken language. Okay. And after the event correction you can use with written language because you have to wait after the student turn it in to make the correction. Okay. But in spoken language, we can also, sometimes wait until the student finish the work, okay, and then give correction. Okay, so for example, during like a presentation, the student makes some mistake, okay, and then I can stop the student again and say, hey, you said it wrong, okay, in here it shouldn't be this, it should be that, right? Or I can wait until after the student have given the presentation and I say it was a good job, but during the presentation you said this and it was wrong, okay? So even for spoken language you can have on the spot correction and after the event correction. So when do we use on the spot correction and when do we use after the event correction? Okay, when the mistake is more important than the activity, you use on the spot correction. Okay, so for example, when you're speaking and you make a mistake, and I think the mistake is very important, if I don't correct you right away, you will continue to make the mistake. Okay, and it will be very difficult for you to to correct yourself, okay, to change in the future. So if I think the mistake is very serious, I can stop you, okay, and I correct it, and then you can go on, okay. So that's on the spot correction. But when the mistake is not as important as the activity, okay, we wait until you have completed the activity, and then we correct you. Okay, so for example, when you are giving a presentation and then you make a mistake, right? If I stop you and then ask you to continue the presentation after I correct you, then you may feel discouraged. Okay, you may not be happy, you may not be confident enough to continue the presentation, right? So normally I would wait until you have finished giving the presentation and I point out a mistake for you. Okay, so you call that after the event correction. Why do I wait? Because I think the presentation is more important than the mistake. Okay, you need to correct the mistake, yes, but it is more important that you finish your activity, your presentation. Okay, and sometimes you may have some shy student in the class who are not confident to speak. Okay, and if they one day you ask them to speak and they agree to speak, if you stop them all the time, they will lose their confidence. Okay, they will think that they are no good, and the next time if you ask them to speak, they will not speak again. Okay, so sometimes you need to wait until they finish the job to give your comments. Okay, so that's how you correct your mistakes of your students. Okay. All right, now next we move on to talk about assessment. Okay, talk about assessment, uh, and then you have formative and summative assessment, right? I'm gonna give you 3 minutes. Okay, I want you to discuss with your friends in your group or look up, the internet, look up Google, okay, and tell me number one, what is assessment? Okay, what does assessment mean? And number two, what is formative and summative assessment? Okay, what is formative assessment and what is summative assessment? Okay, all right, 3 minutes go. All right. So what is assessment? What is it? Group K. What is assessment?
Hello, teacher. I'm from
Mhm.
Group K. I think that assessment means the teacher collect the information about the student learning the learning process to evaluate what they know or what they can do with the new thing, with the new grammar or something like that.
Okay. Yes, very good. Okay. Assessment means collecting information about how a student is learning, right? So for example, you're teaching a new lesson, you're teaching a unit, and you want to know whether or not the student understand the lesson or you can do what you want them to do after they learn the lesson. Okay. So then you collect information about it, right? You give them a test, you organize an activity, you ask them to perform something, okay? You ask them to write an essay, you ask them to speak to you ask them to speak to each other, right? So those are the things that you do to make sure to collect evidence or information about what they can do and what they cannot do. That is called assessment. Okay, good. Now, number two, what is formative assessment? What is formative assessment? Group D.
Yes, good evening, teacher.
Mm-hmm.
For formative assessment is the assessment that the teacher uses to to, to I mean to measure the how the student progress. I mean to checking their performance during the learning process. And for example, while we are teaching them grammars, the teacher will usually give them a short exercise or this to check that if they understand the lesson. And
Mm-hmm.
and I think from my side, I think that formative assessment to make sure that to learn to make the teacher understand that whether if the student is understand what are we teaching about.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So that's your definition of formative assessment. Mm-hmm. What about summative assessment? Does any other group have an answer for summative assessment? What is summative assessment?
From group G,
Mm-hmm.
summative assessment measured what the students have learned at some point of the in time, and give the teacher a snapshot of the students' learning. For example, we can see that at a final exam, the first semesters are at the end of the school year.
Okay. So summative assessment give you a final picture of how the students have been learning, right? So for example, you give them an exam, they can do it, and then based on the score that they have, you can evaluate, okay, how they have been learning in the whole semester. All right, very good. So we know that assessment means collecting data or collecting evidence about a student learning, okay? And it can be done in many ways, okay? You can give them a test, you can give them a quiz, you can ask them to do something, okay? Or it can be something that you do during class to make sure that they understand, okay? Or to make sure that they have achieved a goal that you set for them, right? So that is assessment. And we have two kinds of assessment. We have formative assessment. That means, assessment that happens during the learning process, right? So it gives you, like constant feedback about how the student is doing as they go along, okay? So when assessment happens during the learning process, and it gives you information about their performance so that you can adjust your teaching, okay, or you can adjust their learning. Then it is called formative assessment. Okay, summative assessment usually happens at the end of a learning process. Okay, so for example, at the end of a semester, you give them a test. Okay, at the end of the year, you give them a test, right? At the end of their learning project process, okay, you collect, like a portfolio or a project from them. Okay, that is summative assessment. So you have, like examples of formative assessment, something like quizzes. Okay, so if every day after class you take a quiz, okay, the quiz will tell me how well you did during the day. Okay, and then if I collect information about you over a period of time, I get a picture of how well you progress. Okay, through the process, right? You have voting in lesson, you have homework, you have classwork, you have exit surveys, and so on. Okay. And then for summative assessment, you have, like final exam, okay, midterm exam, like portfolios or project. You have exams like SAT, GCSE, A-level, IB, okay, or, like TOEFL and so on, okay? So that, that when it measures your whole learning process, okay, over a year, over a semester, and so on, it is summative assessment. Okay, so there are two kinds of assessment that we have here. And the most common instrument that you use for assessment is a test. Okay, so everybody here should know what a test is, right? Some of you have been taking tests probably all your life. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, you have a question? Okay. So some of you may have, like taken tests on your life, right? So what are the characteristics of a good test, right? So when you talk about a test, there are three aspects that we need to consider. Number one, transparency, okay? Number two, validity, and number three, reliability, okay? Now let's talk about number one, transparency, okay? What does it mean, transparency? What does it mean? Transparency.
I think transparency means when student do a test and they can merely understand what is the test is designed to measure and how it will be scored. It means that everyone knows what the test measures and how it is scored.
Okay, very good. Okay, the keyword that you said here is everyone knows, right? Everyone knows. So transparency means, in English, when something is transparent, okay, it means you can see through it, right? So for example, when you say the bag is transparent, okay, it means you can see through the bag, right? When you say that I have a transparent bag, okay, I can see through it. Okay, there's nothing hiding behind the bag, right? So when a test is transparent, it means it is clear, okay, and everybody, okay, can see through it. Okay, there's no hiding. So for example, if I give you a test, but if I divide a class into two groups, okay, and I give one group a set of questions and I give the other group another set of questions and the questions are different, okay, then you can say that my test is not transparent because I'm treating you differently. Okay, maybe if a group of students I like, I give easy questions, right? If a group of students I don't like, I give difficult questions. Okay, or if I give you a test, right, and then I tell you the test will be about this and this and this, okay, and when you open the test, you discover that it is not about the things I said, but it is about something else, right? Then you can say also the test is not transparent, okay, because it is not clear to everybody when they take the test. The second characteristic of a good test is validity. Okay, what does it mean, validity? What does it mean? you have the adjective valid. Okay. In English, when you say something is valid, what does it mean? What does it mean?
Là something value.
I'm sorry?
Value, right?
Value?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay, we have the adjective valid in English. Okay. For example, you can say my driver license is valid. Okay. My driver license is valid. Okay. Or the card that I have here is valid. I can use it to purchase. Okay. To buy things. Right. So valid means right. Okay. Or correct. Okay. Or is of value. Right? So when something is right or correct or of the value that is intended to have, you say it is valid. Okay? So what happens when a test is valid? What happens when the test is valid? It means the test is right, okay, is correct, or the test is of value. Okay? And we have three kinds of validity over here. You have construct validity, you have content validity, you have criterion validity. Okay? So first of all, construct validity. What does it mean? Construct validity. Does anyone know? Okay? Construct validity refers to the right test. Okay? When you say your test has construct validity, it means you are using the right test, right? All right, so for example, if I want to know how well you speak English, what kind of test should I give you? If I want to know how well you speak English, what should I do?
You answer conversation.
I ask you to have a conversation with me, okay? I ask you a question and you speak, you answer to me, okay? If I want to know how well you write in English, okay, what should I do? What should I do? Should I ask you to speak to me? Talk to me? Yes or no?
Can be.
Yes or no? Maybe?
Maybe yes.
Maybe
No.
yes. If I want to know how well you write English, okay, how good your writing is, should I ask you to speak to me? If I talk to you, do I know that how well you write English?
No.
No.
No. What should I ask you to do? What should I ask you to do?
Writing something for you.
Yeah, write a paragraph or write an essay for me. Okay, so if I want to know how well you write, I should ask you to write something. Okay, if I ask you to speak to me, okay, or if ask you to do a multiple choice test, maybe that's not the way, okay, to do. If I want to know how well you speak English and I ask you to do a multiple choice quiz, okay, then that may not be the right test to use, right? So construct validity means you are using the right test. Okay, if you're on test writing, you ask them to write. If you are just speaking, you ask them to speak. Okay. If you want to test their general knowledge, maybe you ask them to choose A, B, C, or D. Okay. Now, content validity. What is content validity? Content validity means you are testing the right content. Okay, you're testing the right content. Now, for example, if I want to test how good your grammar knowledge is, okay, sorry, I want to test how good your grammar knowledge is, okay, but then I give you a test, and in the test, you have to answer mathematical questions. Okay. If you do not know mathematics, you will not be able to do the test. Okay. In that case, I can say that the test that I give you lacks content validity. Okay. I want to test your grammar, but I'm giving you mathematics questions. Okay. That is wrong. Okay. It doesn't tell me anything about grammar. So the content of the test is wrong. Okay. Now, number 3, criterion validity. Criterion validity means you are using the right criteria. Okay. You are using the right criteria. So, for example, if I want to test how good your speaking skills is, okay, how good your speaking skill is, I give you a speaking test, okay? And when I listen to you, when I talk to you and when I listen to you, okay, what do you think I should look for when I give you a speaking test, okay? What do you think I should look for? What are the criteria to tell whether or not you are good at speaking or not? What should we
Teacher,
look? Yes.
I
Huh?
think the teacher should notice the pronunciation,
Pronunciation, yes.
intonation,
Mhm.
word use.
Word use.
Yeah,
Anything else?
that's what I think.
Okay, yes, okay. Pronunciation, intonation, word use, and so on. Okay, so if I am looking at this, it means my test has good criterion validity. Okay, but if I look for something else, right? If I look for something else, right? So for example, if I look for if you are using conditional sentences, for example, right? If I pay attention to you and I only look for conditional, if you are using if or when, okay, then you can say maybe my criteria is not correct, right? Because this is a speaking test. It should be about how well you speak English, right? It has nothing to do with conditional. Okay, so in that case, if I just keep looking at one thing that is not telling of, like how well you speak, then you can say that my test lack criterion validity. Okay. And finally, we have reliability. Okay. What does it mean, reliability? What does it mean? It means that, something, when you say something is reliable, what does it mean? Reliable means you can rely on it. Okay. You can depend on it. You can trust it. Okay. You can believe it, right? So reliability. So what does it mean for a test to be reliable? What does it mean for a test to be reliable? What does it mean? Now, if I want to know how heavy I am, okay, how much I weigh, okay, what should I do? If I want to know my weight,
You need to wait.
what should I do? What should I
You
do?
get on a scale.
Yes, I step on a scale, okay? So if I want to know my weight, I step on a scale. Right. Now at home, I have two scales, scale A and scale B. Okay. Now, if I step on scale A, the first time it tells me 65. Okay. The second time it tells me 75. The third time it tells me 95. Okay. Scale B, first time it tells me 75. Second time, 75. Third time, 75. Okay. Which one do you think is the better scale here?
Scale B.
Scale
Yeah.
B.
A or B?
B.
B. Okay. All right. Because it gives me consistent results. Okay. If the scale gives me consistent results, I can have reason to rely on it, okay, to believe it, to trust it. So by this, I know that my weight is maybe around 75, right? If I look at scale A, I don't know what my weight is. First time 65, second time 75, third time 95, okay? We don't know, right? But for scale B, the results are consistent. It's the same for the test, okay? If I give you a test and then today I grade you and everybody got an A, okay? Everybody got an A. Tomorrow, I took the same test again, I look again, and I grade again, and this time everybody got a C. Okay, so you can say that the test is not reliable because today you have this result, tomorrow you have this result. Okay, so that's a matter of reliability. Or if I give you a test and I grade you and I give all of you A's, okay, and I also ask my friend at the university to also grade you, and then all of you receive a C, okay, from my friend. So in that case, you can also say the test is not reliable because two graders give two different results, okay? So that's the three characteristics of a good test. You have transparency, you have validity, and you have reliability. Is it clear? You understand? You
Yes.
do? Okay. All right. If you understand, I am going to have some questions for you. Okay. I'm gonna give you a list of different situations over here, and then I'm gonna ask you to tell me what kind of problem do we have. Okay, in each of these. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to look at this. Okay, and then after 2 minutes, you will tell me what kind of problem do we have in each of the situation? Is it transparency? Is it validity? Is it reliability? Okay. And what kind of validity is it? Is it content validity? Is it construct validity? Is it criteria validity? Okay. All right, 2 minutes go. Okay. Number one, an English test that requires special knowledge of microbiology to complete. What kind of problem do we have here? Group B.
Hello, teacher. I'm from Group B.
Mhm.
So I think the problem is the validity because the student may fail because they don't understand the microbiology, not
Okay,
because they English is poor.
very good. So what kind of validity are we talking about?
I think the construct is irrelevant. Yeah.
Construct validity.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. Does anyone have a different idea? Thank you, Group B.
Yes.
I from group I.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's maybe content validity.
Content validity. Okay. Why?
Um, uh, they use spatial knowledge of microbiology on English
Uh-huh.
tests. Yeah,
So you're testing the wrong content, right? Content
yeah.
validity means they're testing the wrong content. Construct validity means they're using the wrong test, okay? And criteria validity means they're using wrong criteria, right? So this case is a case of content validity issue, right? You're supposed to test English, but then now you're testing microbiology, okay? So it's wrong content. So it's a case of content biology, validity, sorry. Number two, a speaking test that requires candidates to perform writing tasks. What kind of problem is this?
Teacher,
Mhm.
I think this is a validity error, and it belongs to the wrong contract.
Yes, okay.
Because
This
that
is a case of construct validity, okay? A construct validity issue, right? You are using the wrong test to test your students, right? You want to know how good they speak, but then you ask them to write things. Then the construct is not correct, okay? Very good. Number three, a pronunciation test that favors only the American accent of the English language. I'm
Hello.
sorry. Mhm.
Hello, teacher. Number three. I think problem is validity because it doesn't fairly assess pronunciation and ignores other acceptable English accent.
Mhm. Okay, so you think it's a matter of validity, right? And what kind of validity do you think it is?
Yeah. Um. n-
What kind of validity? Is it construct validity, content validity, or criterion validity? Hello?
Yes. Yes. Um. I think validity mean that a step means sure what is the support to measure.
All right, I'm asking you what kind of validity it is, right? We have three kinds here: construct validity, content validity, and criterion validity. Okay, what
Yeah.
what do you think? What kind? You say it is wrong. It is, yeah, it has a validity issue, right? Because it discredits the other kind of accents that is acceptable, right? Only American accent is accepted. So yes, it is a kind of validity issue. But what kind of validity? Is it construct? Is it content? Is it criteria? Does anyone else have an idea?
Teacher, I think this is a transparency problem because this test is not fair to everyone. It's prioritize American.
It's not fair
Yeah.
to everyone. Uh-huh.
because
so I think it is like a transparency.
American will have the American accent. It's not fair.
Okay.
to
What
everyone.
if I tell you from what if I tell you from the beginning? I tell in this class in this speaking test, if you speak the American accent, you will score better. If I tell you from the beginning, so in this case, transparent, right?
I don't think
Even
so.
if I tell you from the beginning, okay.
don't
Even if I
notice.
tell you something, I tell you from the beginning, it is still not a good test, right? So there should be an issue with it. What kind of issue do we have here? You said that it's not fair, okay? So what do you think is a fair test in this case?
That means we have a different the different country, the people from the different country to learn English. And if we use only one tool, American accent for pronunciation to test them, I think it's not really fair to everyone.
So accent is not a good measure.
Yes, because
American
we
accent.
accept the old accent from everyone around the world.
Okay.
We don't use the specific accent to standard the others.
Okay. So if you think accent is not a good criteria, what problem do you think is wrong with this test? What problem? It means I'm using the wrong criteria. Okay, a wrong criterion to
So maybe
assess. So the problem here is
I mean the criteria is American accent. I don't say
Right.
about pronunciation. We can
Okay.
test the pronunciation, but we don't use the American accent to measure the speaking or pronunciation of someone.
So in this case, it's a case of criterion invalidity.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm using the wrong criteria to assess. Okay, how well you speak English, right? And then finally, we have a test that used two different sets of grades or results by two different graders. What kind of problem do we have here? Group H.
Yes. Let me answer the questions. With feedback, for me, feedback is the information and response that a teacher gives to students about their
Hello.
performance.
We are not answering that question. We're not answering that question. The question is on the board. When a test use two different sets of grades by two different graders, what problem do you think it has?
About tests? Okay. Can you give me a minute to thinking?
All right, thank you. Group M, what do you think?
Hi, teacher. We're from Group M, and I think the problem is about its lack of reliability.
Yes, okay. So if you have a test and then you have two people grading it and they give different results, meaning, okay, they don't have an effective way to agree on their grades, right? So in that case, you can say the test have reliability issue, right? You cannot rely on it, okay, because it gives you different results by different people. All right, very good. So those are some of the cases that for you to consider when we talk about the criteria of a good test, right?
Excuse me, can I answer the question last?
Thank you. The action has been answered. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Next, we talk about different types of tests. Okay, and we have 5 different types of tests here. We have placement tests, we have progress and achievement tests, diagnostic tests, proficiency tests, and portfolio assessment. Okay, I will give you 5 minutes to think and discuss in your group, or you may look up the book, or you may look up the internet. Okay, find information, and then you will tell me what is each kind of test over here. right? What is a placement test? What is progress and achievement test? What is diagnostic test, and so on? Okay. All right. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes, I'm gonna ask you for your answers. Okay. 5 minutes, go. Okay, so what are these kinds of tests? Okay, number one, placement test. What is a placement test?
I'm from group C. Can I answer the question?
Sure, yes.
To me, I think the placement test is some kind like to set a new student into the correct class with their suit for their level by in their test, you know. For example, like when I go sign into some academy for learning about TOEIC or IELTS, they will ask me to do a test, and then they will base on that test to create a class that suit for me.
Okay, so you take a test to be put in the right class.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That's placement test. Okay. Number two, progress and achievement tests. What is it? We got group C. Now let's hear it from group E. Group E. No, group E. Okay, group N.
It's a group N for progress and achievement test. It means we measure learning outcomes during or after the class.
Okay. You measure the outcome during learning or after they have
Yes.
finished the class.
You have final exam at the end of semester or
Okay.
the exam after high school. That's way. Thing like that.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, the test that you take during learning or at the end of the learning process. Okay. What is a diagnostic test? Diagnostic test. Group L. Group L.
Hi, teacher. I'm from group L. In diagnostic test, I see it you in a cross to identify students' stress, weaknesses, and specific learning problem.
So if you want to find out their strengths, their weaknesses, and their learning problems, you give them a diagnostic test, right?
And we can use it when before or during the learning process.
Before, during the learning process. Okay, to know what okay, what are some of the problems with the students, okay, or with the learning. Okay, good. Yeah, diagnostic tests tell you diagnose, right? It helps you diagnose. To diagnose means to find out what's wrong. Okay, so diagnostic tests help you find out what is going on with their learning. Okay, and what can you do to address it. Proficiency test. What is it? Group J. Group J. No group J. Group I.
I'm from group I. I'm from group I. Proficiency test. I think it's measure overall language abilities or skill against standard skill. Independence of any specific course or textbook.
It is independent of any kind of textbook. Okay, of course, right? So for example, you have any example?
Maybe it's, TOEFL or IELTS TOEIC.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah. So the standard
that's
test,
all.
okay, that you don't have
Mm.
any to take any course to take. Okay, very good. And then finally, we have portfolio assessment. Okay, group G. What is portfolio assessment?
Hello, teacher. I am from Group G.
Mhm.
I think it's the portal follow assessment. It mean evaluating a collection of the student work gathered over a long period.
Mm-hmm. So a collection of student work gathered over a long period.
Yes.
Can you think of any example?
Maybe in when teaching, I give them road test, and they will make a resign or make a product. They will come to us and resend this, and after a finish class, I will collect them.
Okay. Yes. Right. So projects or artifacts that they create during the learning process. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Thank you. All right. So you have given me definition of these kind of tests. Okay. Now I have some examples of the kind of tests over here, and I want to see, okay, how you would classify them. All right, so first of all, we have graduation projects, okay? So graduation projects, thing that you need to do before you graduate, okay? What do you think, what kind of test do you think it is? Graduation project. Anyone? Group A, what do you think? Maybe you need time to think. Okay, I'm gonna give you 1 minute to look at this and think.
I
And then
think,
after 1 minute.
yes, hello, Mr. Minh. I think
Okay.
graduation project is a project and achievement test.
What kind? What kind of test is it? Is it placement test or progress, an achievement test or diagnosis test or proficiency? What kind?
Yes.
Graduation project. What kind of test is it?
The graduation project is the progress and achievement test. Yes.
Why? Why do you think it is progress and achievement test?
Okay. We make sure how much students have learned based on the course, and why achievement tests assess final outcome.
All right. So Group A thinks graduation project as progress and achievement test. Does anyone have a different opinion?
As for me, I think a reiteration road test is a portfolio assessment.
Portfolio assessment. Why do you think so?
Because this the teacher will collect a road check on the period and will assess the student. It may be a reiteration road test.
Yes. Okay. So a graduation project takes place over a long time. Okay. It covers the whole learning process. And then, you know, you have a final product at the end, right? So it applies to what we call portfolio assessment. Okay. You also collect evidence throughout the learning process, and then you have a final product at the end. Okay. That's portfolio assessment. Very good. Number 2, final examinations. What kind of assessment is it?
think
Group
it's
D.
a progress and achievement test.
Why do you think so?
Because this measure after what learner have learned after a semester or a course.
Yes. Okay. So final examinations, things you take at the end of a course is what we call progress and achievement test, right? So it measures how well you achieve the goals and the objectives at the end of the learning process. Okay. Now, midterm evaluations. Midterm evaluation.
Belong to diagnostic test.
Diagnostic test. Why do you think so?
Because usually this test will identify the strengths of the student or the weakness of the students.
Yeah. Okay. Usually it gives you feedback or it gives you information about how well they are doing. Okay. So that you can make changes to your teaching. Yes. Okay. It is diagnostic test. Very good. Okay. Now you have class assignment test. Class assignment test. What is it?
It's a placement test.
Placement test. Okay. Why?
Because it is a test used to determine the learner level and place them into the appropriate class.
Yes. Okay. It is the placement test, right? So it tells you what class you should be in. Okay. Very good. And finally, we have TOEFL and IELTS and SAT and ACT. What kind of test is it?
It's a proficiency test.
Yes. Okay. That is proficiency test, right? It tells you what level of English you are. It doesn't care or not whether you take a class or not. Okay. So it just tells you what level you are using standardized test. So these are some of the kinds of tests that you will see, okay, as a teacher of English, right? All right. Next, we have the different types of test items, okay? And when you look at this, you can see, okay, as a student of English, you may have seen many, if not all of the types of test item over here. You have seen a multiple choice question before. You know what a gap fill, okay, question is. You have transformation and paraphrase. You have summarizing. You have skills based, okay, and you have interactive test items. All right. This will be your homework, okay? At home, I want you to tell me, okay, what these kind of test items are. And I want you, for your lesson, okay, I want each of you to write some questions using MCQ, okay? Some questions using get fill, okay? Some questions using transformation and paraphrase, some using summarize, okay? Some using, like skill-based test items, and some using interactive test item, okay? I want you to develop a test for your lesson, okay? That has many different questions, right? And I want you to use a variety of different questions in the test, right? So at home, you do some research and then you tell me what is MCQ, what is gap fill, what is transformation, paraphrase, and so on. And then you prepare questions for your own lesson, okay? And put it in the unit test. And finally, we have writing and marking tests, okay? So when you write a test, it involves a process of thinking, of writing, and marking, right? So before you write a test, you should think about the objectives, right? The test should match the objectives that you want to get from your student. Think about the context and think about future action, okay? What will you do to your students after you have the results of the test, okay? And when you write the test, pay attention to the content, okay? We have content validity, so this is very important. Pay attention to the balance, okay? You want a variety of different types of tests, okay? And you don't want to use just one kind of questions from beginning to end, okay? You think about how to score and you trial, okay? You take the test as an experiment to see whether or not your student will be able to do it. And then after that, after you have given a test, okay, you are going to mark it, right? If you want other people to help you mark the test, you should provide training, okay? And pay attention to inter-rater reliability, meaning if two people are marking the same test, you should get similar results, okay? Or consistent results. and then you have analytic profiles. After you have graded, after you have marked it, okay, you get an idea about your student and how well they are doing, or you get an idea about your class, okay, and how they are doing, okay. All right, so those are the things we talk about when we talk about assessment, okay, and evaluation. I want you from this lesson to create a unit evaluation plan for your portfolio, okay? So after today, each group will work on a unit evaluation plan. You don't have to present the plan on Saturday and Sunday, but 3 weeks after Sunday, you will need to tell me, okay, how you are going to evaluate your students, right? And when you develop the plan, you will answer the 4 questions over here, okay? Number 1, what skills and language components are you testing? Okay, what are you testing? Are you testing grammar, vocabulary, speaking, reading, writing, listening, and so on? Okay, so number 1, what are you testing? Number 2, okay, how do you align the test that you are developing with the objectives and the goals? Okay, so always think of the goals of the unit and the objectives of the lessons when you develop the test, right? Because the test is supposed to measure how well the student can achieve the goals, okay, and how well they can achieve the objectives. So think about the goals of the unit and the objectives of the lesson, and then align the test with the goals and the objectives, okay? Think about the type of test you are using, right? Okay, is it a final examination? Is it a progress and achievement test? Is it a diagnosis test, and so on, okay? And then what type of test items you are using? Okay, are you using MCQ? Are you using interviews? Okay, are you using listening activities, right? So when you develop the unit plan, the evaluation plan for the unit, okay, pay attention to the 4 questions over here and pay a special attention to the second question, right? How do you align the goals of the unit and then the objectives of the lesson with what you are evaluating, okay? And I'm going to give you some example for that. So for example, if one of your objectives is for the student to be able to use the past simple to refer to past actions, okay? So what kind of evaluation can you do, right? It doesn't have to be a question on the test, right? It can be something else. It can be something that happens during the learning process, right? So for example, during teaching, if you have an exercise, okay, and you ask the student to put the verb in the correct tense, right? So for example, you give them a story and then the verbs are not in the correct tense, right? And you ask them to read the story and put the verbs in the brackets into the correct tense in the story, right? So you have to decide whether it's past simple, is it past continuous, is it present perfect, and so on. And they do it. If they can do this, okay, you can say that they have achieved the objective, okay, because you want them to be able to use the past simple. If they can use the past simple correctly in this exercise, okay, you can say that the objective is met, okay? If you do that, you need to give me the answer keys, okay? If you develop an activity like this when you're teaching, you need to give me the answer keys, right? Or you may ask them to speak, okay, and talk about what they did last week, all right? So you can ask some student and say, hey, what did you do last week? Okay, and they will stand up, they will tell you, oh, last week I went to the beach, right? I went to the beach with my family. We had dinner in a restaurant, okay? We ate a lot of seafood, for example, okay? If they tell you that, then you can also say that they have met the objectives that you have set for them, okay? Because they are talking about their past, okay? And they're using the past tense, okay? If you do this, I want you to show me the rubric, okay? So if you're evaluating their speaking skills, what criteria are you looking at, okay? And then for each criteria, what are the levels of their performance, okay? And so on. Another example that we have is, for example, you have an objective that is for learner to be able to ask for and give directions to and from places, okay? So if you are teaching a lesson on directions, right? Again, this can be a question on the test, or it can be something that you do during class, right? So for example, in class, if you organize an activity for two students to ask and give directions, okay, then it can be something that measure this objective, okay? So for example, you give two students a map, okay, and in the map you have different places, okay, and you ask them to ask and answer question and give directions to go from one place to another place, okay, from the hotel to the market to the temple, for example, okay, and then this can be one activity to measure the objectives that you have over here. So if you do this, you should describe the activity in the lesson, okay, and give me the keys or the rubric to the activity. Or you can ask them to do a listening activity on a test, right? So at the end of the lesson, you give them a test, okay, and you have to listen to conversations and then draw the directions on a map, right? So you have to listen to conversation 1 and draw the direction, okay? You listen to conversation 2 and then you draw the direction, okay, and so on, right? So that is another example of how to evaluate the objective, okay?
May I have a question? About the key of the listening. I wonder if we have to give you a key, like a script of that listening test, or at the script, and this test would be can we take like outside of the book, or we have to just only focus on only the content inside it.
You can use, like an activity in the book, right? So if, for example, the book has an activity like this, you can use it, okay? Or you can think of something else, right? If you develop an activity outside of the book, and I encourage you to do it, okay? You should tell me what the activity is, and then how you organize it, and then you give me the rubric and the keys.
And the key would be the answer, right?
Yes.
It has to be the script.
It can be both, okay? If you can give me the script or just give me the answer, okay? But you make sure that if you ask them to listen to something, there should be something for them to listen to. Okay. Another examples that we have here is, for example, if you're teaching pronunciation and your objective is to have the learners pronounce, the three sounds t, d, or it correctly. Okay. So again, evaluation, it can be an exercise that you ask them to do during class, right? They can pronounce, okay, the verbs. You give them a list of verbs and ask them to pronounce, okay? And you should give me the rubric, okay, whether which one is the sound t, which one is the sound d, and which one is the sound it, okay? Or you can ask them to play a game, right? It can be a game, and they can listen and write the words in the correct column. If you draw on the board, okay, 3 columns, t, d, or it, okay? Ask your student to listen and then run to the board and write, okay, the word that they hear in the correct column. If they can do this, then, okay, you can tell that the objective is successful, okay? So that is how you develop the evaluation plan. So you don't have to do it before Saturday, okay? But 3 weeks after Sunday, you should submit the plan for me, okay? So you should tell me what activities that you are using to evaluate the objectives for the lesson, okay? And then you should develop 1 unit test. Each group will give me 1 test, okay, to test all of the lessons in the unit, okay? And give me the test items, give me the keys, okay, give me the rubrics, give me how the scales on how you're going to evaluate them, and so on. All right. I am sure that you will have questions about this, but I'm sorry I've been talking without paying attention to the time. It's now 8:56, so you have 4 minutes left before the quiz. Okay, so I'm just going to stop here and then give you some time for a break. And at 9 o'clock, you will take the quiz. Okay, at 9:30, if you have questions, you can come back here and I will answer your questions at 9:30. Okay? All right, thank you, everybody. We can just stop here and then you take the quiz. If you have questions, come back at 9:30. I will be here until 9:30 and answer your questions. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, teacher.
Yes, thank you, teacher.
Okay.
Thank you, teacher.
2 minutes left. One minute left. All right. Does anyone have any question?
Yes, I have a question, teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I just read the rubric 2 for unit plan. Thì the first criteria are the goal and objective were start. In unit plan, we need at the unit objective, teacher?
Yeah, in the unit plan, you have the unit map, right?
Yes.
And in the unit map, there should be the objectives for individual lessons.
Oh, yes, I understand. Thank you, teacher.
Okay. Any other questions? No more questions? All right, thank you, everybody. See you in person on Saturday. Have a nice weekend. Okay, bye-bye.